Welcome back to the Movie a Day podcast, the one and only podcast that reviews a different film each and every day. My name is Grant, and I'm your host for this podcast. With me, as always, to dive into the world of cinema, we have Sky.
Hello.
And Ryan.
What's up?
Sky, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about the film The Death of Stalin, which came out this year, or it's 2018, now it's 2019. But it is directed by Armando Iannucci. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Essentially, like the title would suggest, this movie takes place like in Moscow in 1953, where Joseph Stalin takes ill and dies pretty quickly. And then essentially the members of like the High Council have to try and like scramble to like get in power. And it's kind of like a power struggle between all of them. You can watch this movie through Amazon if you get a 7-day of Showtime, or if you just have Showtime, you can watch it through that. But other than that, it's really hard to see because they only have region B Blu-rays, which is annoying.
It
But yeah,
is.
what are you guys' initial thoughts?
I really like this movie. So like the first time, I think we mentioned it in our last podcast, if I'm not mistaken, but I think Grant, you said you were tired when you watched it, and I was tired because we stayed up like really late, like the night before, and like we had like no like hours of sleep under our belt, and we went to see this movie in theaters, and it was like really hard for like me to stay awake. So like the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, yeah, I could tell it was good, but I definitely got to revisit this one. I'm like 100% like up to par. So watching it a second time, I really enjoyed it. I found myself laughing like throughout the entire movie, and which is what you want on a comedy, and like it's really like funny, and like how they like throw in like little jokes, like sometimes they'll throw in like a joke like when they're like under their breath or something, like, and you got to like catch it. And yeah, I just like the small like attention to detail and like all that stuff about the movie that makes it a really good comedy, and it's really witty, and yeah, it's just got all the perks. But and the acting was all very good. It was shot really well, for the peripherals of the film, I guess. So nothing really to complain about here, visually. But Grant, what do you think?
So yeah, if you were just didn't hear anything about this movie, you just hear the title and the description of the movie, you would definitely not think this is a comedy. But it is. It is a black comedy, and it is fantastic. And what this movie has to offer over others is it is very historically accurate. There's ridiculous situations that happen throughout the movie that are actually toned down compared to the real life situation, as I'll get into in our spoiler thoughts. All the acting is fantastic. Steve Buscemi, Jeffrey Tambor, Jason Isaacs steals every scene he's in. It just all around, the production design, the costumes, it's just everything is really well done in this movie. I really like how just the lengths everyone goes to just to like scramble, like out of fear and out of greed. This really shows like a lot of interesting things that people do. And yeah, I would highly recommend this movie.
Yeah, so I would obviously agree with both of you. The acting was really good. I loved the script. That was fantastic. Production design, like you definitely feel like, you know, you're in Moscow or Russia. But yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this movie. Should we just get right into spoilers, or else I'm literally just gonna say the same things you guys just said?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can get into spoiler talk.
So I think the opening scene really like sums up just what kind of a ride you're in for with this movie. It opens on a concert, and they're just kind of wrapping it up, and the conductor, or not the conductor. Well, maybe you would call him the conductor, but the guy running the show gets a call from Stalin essentially saying he wants a recording. And he finds out that it's not being recorded. So as the audience members are leaving and the band is packing up, getting ready to go, he's scrambling, getting everyone, telling them to sit down and everyone come back. And we got to record it for Stalin. And just, it's all sorts of nonsense and craziness and hilariousness. And one of the things that the movie didn't do that happened in real life, apparently, is they had to go through 3, God, what would you call them? I guess you would call those people conductors.
But like three people, 3 conductors at the that led the band.
Yeah, conductors. So they had to use 3 conductors because the second one they were first replaced. What they found was too drunk to do it, so they had to go out and find another one. But the director didn't want to do it because he felt that it was too unbelievable. And there's so many things like that in this movie that like you would think this is insane, like the lengths they have to go, but it's actually crazier than what it shows in the movie.
Yeah, I mean they definitely kept like the history together in this film. I think, what was it, Sky, that you were telling me that you read something about the movie that actually happened?
Oh, the hockey team?
Yeah, the hockey team. That was it. The hockey scene. I mean, that's a little later on. I mean, we could talk about it later if you guys want to talk about something that happened before it. But
it's not really.
I found that interesting when you brought that up.
A plot point, so I think we can just talk about it now.
Yeah. No, yeah. Essentially, Stalin's son, right? He plays...
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays his son. Essentially, he was in charge of, like, the... I guess, I don't know if... Was like it the USSR's national? I don't know.
Yeah.
Russia's history that well for that. But anyway, their national hockey team at that point was on a plane that the son of Stalin routed. And apparently, in real life, as well and in the film, the plane crashed, essentially. So, like, the entire team, except for, like, 1 or 2, for whatever reason, they weren't on the plane. Like, all died. And so instead of, like, telling everyone, the son tried to cover it up, I guess, and just, like, hired random people to like be on the hockey team, and like hopefully no one would notice, essentially, which the movie plays for humor, which it's pretty funny in like a dark way, I guess, but just a lot of weird like historical things that like this movie turns like funny. Like it's kind of like messed up funny. Like I love the way they do lists. Like Stalin would have these kill lists that every day these people would go out and kill people, and just the way, what's his name? Beria, the guy in charge of like the security. Yeah. He's like, kill him, but make sure she sees before you kill him. And, like, he gives all these like specific instructions on like how each person needs to die and like in front of who. It's just hilarious.
They kill him, bring him to the church, and then like dump.
Yeah,
just like.
And I will say, one scene that I really like, it's the scene where they introduce Beria and Steve Buscemi, and it's both of them just like jumping into each other, like their chests just like into each other. And that's like the whole movie is those two essentially trying to win over the other one when Stalin dies, like for power. And they're both just jumping up, chest bumping, and they're trying to, they're trying to outpower the other one, I guess. And then, yeah, obviously all the humor around when Stalin's alive at the beginning and everyone's just laughing at whatever he says and doing whatever he says. Steve Buscemi's character is literally like telling his wife when he gets home, like, these are the jokes that worked. These are the funny ones. Like, I don't need to say anything related to this or else he'll kill me.
Yeah, they would literally write all the jokes down and go over which ones worked or which ones didn't. It's like crazy the lengths that people had to go in order to like please Stalin out of like fear of death.
That's what, yeah, like apparently like a lot of that's pretty accurate. Like when he actually died, people were like scared. They're like, is he dead? Like we don't want to like do anything to undermine this guy or else he'll kill us. And so it literally like took them forever, or not forever, but like a lot longer than it should have to start making changes and like picking new leadership and stuff.
Yeah, as far as like the few like guards outside Stalin's door were concerned, Stalin had strict rules about waking him or interrupting him during his sleep, and it was punishable by death to do so. So when they heard Stalin kind of like fall over. They literally couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's done very well. And yeah, I love the whole message of the movie is kind of just how like the history of like that nation, how it's just like how it was built essentially by people just trying to like one up each other and like, you know, scrambling for power, essentially just trying to like take a place of the next person and the next person. I love the way like that's how kind of the
Well, you always got to have a leader. Like,
yeah,
who's
well, it's
gonna
always
lead?
people trying to. It's not loyalty. It's kind of like people like being nice to you and then like trying to stab you in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
It's just
I like
Go ahead.
yeah, the entire like movie is it's a dark time period, but like they make light of the situation, which is kind of cool. Like, because like Grant said, like the title of it, you know, you would think it's just kind of like a World War II like era history of Russia like movie. Like, oh, this is just going to be about the death of Stalin, really, and like what happens after that, and it's going to be kind of like a historical, factual film, and that's really just it is factual, but it's also a comedy, which is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, this really is like a unique movie. I haven't really seen many other movies like this. They're probably out there, but I don't know, for whatever reason, like this just really felt fresh to me.
And I like how the movie ended too, like with like in the end, like Steve Buscemi's character is, you know, he ends up getting in power, and it like before like the movie's gonna end, and then they have to kind of explain like where things go from there, and then he's like immediately like there's like a guy sitting behind him. I think they kind of like pan the camera off to the left of Buscemi's character to like the guy that's sitting behind him, and he's kind of like looking down at him, and it says that Buscemi was in power until like 1952, I think, and then he was thrown from his power, and it just goes to show you that like after Stalin, like they, you know, the next guy that was Buscemi who was in power, you know, after all the scrambling, they had to go through like so many people like afterwards to find a good leader.
Yeah, I like, and for the end too, Steve Buscemi's character is kind of made out to be like kind of the hero of the story. And even so, when he does come into power, they end up saying he excommunicates two of the other main members of the committee
Yeah, that
helped
was
him
the
get
other
there.
part.
So really, it's just the same con game, the same.
Oh yeah, they're all bad people. I mean,
Yeah.
they all just stood by and let it happen.
Well,
I mean, I
they
get it.
tried
like, they
to
were
be
afraid,
like
but...
good, like Barion's character was like throughout the whole movie, like you were thinking like, you know, this guy obviously he is a bad person, you know, like he would like rape. Like how many rapings did they say he had? Like
I think like
300 and
347
something.
or something.
But
Yeah.
like he was the
Absurd.
one that was getting rid of the lists, right? As soon as Stalin died, and like there
Yeah,
was like
and I think he was doing that to try and cover himself up.
exactly
To try and make
exactly,
himself
but
look
like
he wasn't doing
just
it
kind of
like
like
some
what
noble
the
cause.
kind of that's just kind of like what people had to do back then to like cover up their mistakes. They had to like make themselves look good in the eyes of the public, and you know, by getting rid of the list, like he looked like a good person, but the audience knew like no, like you've done some bad stuff, and like even them, like all them guys that were fighting for the position were they knew, like, you know, some of them knew about it, like what he was doing. Except, especially Steve Buscemi's character, like he knew.
Well, that's what like Barry was saying before they killed him. Essentially, he's like, "You guys are all like bad too. Like,
Yeah,
don't
you guys
try
are all
and think."
crooks.
I mean, they're definitely not as bad as he was, but at the same time, like they definitely like let it all happen. Didn't try to stop any of it. Just yeah. would do whatever Stalin would say, essentially. So
Yeah, but who would refuse Stalin?
no,
You
that's
know,
a yeah.
because he'd
That's
just
like
kill
what
you
he's
if you
saying.
refused it. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just not a very good system put in place. I mean, it's communism, so it's a communist country.
Yeah. You guys have any final thoughts for this movie?
No, I think
No, I think I'm. Go
think
check
that's
this one
it.
out if you can. Get your hands on it.
Yeah, I agree for sure. So, should we give our ratings then?
Let's do it.
Let's do
We'll
it.
start with Sky, or you want to start with me, or I could start.
I'll
Okay, go
start.
ahead, Si. I'll let you do
I
it.
got
It's your
this.
movie.
So I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know. There's just something that's not making it a 10 for me. I can't really explain it. I I can't really think of any problems with the film, but I guess there's just not a bunch of, I guess, hidden meanings. I guess like when I saw this the first time, I was awake for whatever reason, and yeah, all the humor still works and it's hilarious. But I guess I didn't get anything, I guess, else out of it. So, but I'm definitely gonna be getting this one and watching it several more times though. So definitely
If the
highly
H&A
recommend it.
Blu-ray ever comes out.
Yeah, it better.
100%. Well, I
So-
gave this movie an 8. I thought it was good. Again, like comedy is like a weird thing for me, like comedy genre. Like I could definitely see myself like rewatching this movie though, just because I love like the entertainment aspect of it and stuff. But it's definitely not one of those one and done type movies, type comedies, I should say. But yeah, it's weird for me. Like comedies and horrors, like a really hard genre to please like me, and this movie definitely did a good job of like keeping me involved and laughing throughout. Because like usually with like a comedy, there's like a part of the movie where it's like the down turn, and it's like not funny, but it gets kind of sad, and then it goes up again in the end. And this movie actually didn't really have that, which is kind of nice. Like, cause like when Stalin died, like it actually made the movie more funny. Like instead of making it like a sad, it made it more funny. So that's what I liked. I like that.
Yeah, I'm going with a 9 on this. Definitely closer to an 8 than a 10. But I don't think it'll go down to an 8. It's a fantastic movie from all aspects. And with that, I believe, Ryan, you are the next recommender.
Oh yeah. So there's a little film, and I say little because it's kind of short, on Netflix called Cam, and I found this by just searching on Netflix, and I kind of like looked up the trailer for it, and it looked kind of interesting, so we're gonna check it out.
Yeah, I've come across it scrolling around on Netflix a few times. It should be interesting.
I know literally nothing about it, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. So yeah, if you guys like this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as leave a like and a comment. As a new podcast, we would love to hear your thoughts, suggestions, and recommendations. To keep up with updates and other news regarding this podcast, follow our Twitter and like our Facebook page listed in the description below. You guys want to add anything else before we go?
I think we did it. I think we're done.
Oh, we got it covered.
All right. See you tomorrow.